Dangerous Animals is a 2025 Australian film directed by Byrne and stars Hassie Harrison, Courtney, and Josh Heuston. The plot follows Zephyr, a wandering surfer who crosses paths with a shark-obsessed maniac, and out in the ocean, no one can hear you scream. Hey guys, Eli here, and I hope you're all well. Thanks for showing up. Those of you that aren't afraid of sharks, I guess. I'm just kidding, how would that be fucking possible? Can you imagine someone that wasn't afraid of sharks? I guess they exist. As far as I'm concerned, monsters are real, and they live in the ocean. But the most dangerous of all monsters, of course, are fucking humans. Courtney plays Tucker, a diving guide who has made a hobby out of abducting people and feeding them to sharks. And not only that, but filming it and, making like his own little home movies, I guess you could say. He knows everything about sharks and even sees himself as a predator. An alpha, if you will. I mean, you know most of this from the trailer and the opening scene, which was pretty cool way to start, I gotta say. Quick, to the point, pretty brutal. It also lets you know that this is gonna be a lower budget affair, which is what you should expect anyways. And that said, I think they probably stretched it probably as far as they could. I mean, if high budget stuff is more your thing, I think the effects here will probably put you off, pretty much all of them. The practical effects are not super great, and the CGI is kind of weird in my opinion. For what I could tell, all of the shark stuff is a combination of stock photos and CGI. I mean, it's not the worst CGI in the world, but it's also less convincing than what I was hoping for. I mean, most of the scenes are also at night, so that, that kind of helps with lighting issues and also the proper atmosphere, I would say, which Byrne actually does a decent job with, and is ultimately what makes or breaks this film. Okay, so I was actually pretty excited to see this. I'm a pretty big slasher fan, and I saw this as a slasher with sharks, at least from the trailer, which turns out to be pretty accurate. But that's pretty much the only aspect of this film, in my opinion, that is remotely unique. But that isn't to say that that weren't other things about it that I liked. First, in a film like this, obviously you need a great villain, because that's what every slasher needs. And I do mostly consider this a slasher, even if it's just as much like a cat and mouse thriller. Movies like maybe P2 come to mind. And Tucker is a pretty entertaining character. I mean, he's got that gruff, imposing personality while still being able to convince his customers that he's a friendly guy and will definitely not kill them. And I'll admit, I was kind of expecting a John Jarrett type Aussie villain, like in Wolf Creek. And yeah, Tucker is similar, but he has his own personality entirely. He's equally insane, but a little more quirky. Like he does little dances in his underwear while chugging beer on his houseboat. It's amusing, and Courtney sells this character. But personally, I thought he could have been just a little more sadistic, believe it or not. Which one of my main issues with this film is that it doesn't go hard enough. I mean, the premise is gritty, and there are some scenes where you think things are going to go like full New French Extreme, but they pull back right when they should, have gone all out, in my opinion. And there is a fair amount of gore here, but it's just nowhere near what I expected. It just doesn't, in my opinion, doesn't line up with what it should have been. Anyways, our lead and essentially final girl here is the girl that I mentioned at the beginning, Zephyr, and she's played by Hassie Harrison, and I have mixed feelings about her performance. I pretty much disliked, her for several reasons. First, her acting was, in my opinion, painfully wooden, and it was just really fucking distracting. The second reason, which is really not her fault, was the writing. The way that her character was written. She was just written so generically that it almost made me mad at times. Like, her saving grace, though, for me at least, was that she fights back. I mean, in fact, there's a love interest type character who I haven't even mentioned because I didn't really care about him, but Zephyr is way tougher than that fucking dude, which I thought was actually a cool move, for the writers to make. She's the lead here, and she's also the hero. Instead of a typical male hero type guy or whatever. That aspect really worked, and I totally applaud it. And the audience in the theater, when I saw it, really loved that part too, especially the females in the audience. So I thought that was cool. It was a fun experience. Anyways, I'm giving Dangerous Animals a 6 out of 10. I had a decent time with it, but it just It's got its share of flaws, and at times they were just a little too much for me. A bit too much CGI with, some pretty uninteresting characters, strong villain, kind of a unique theme. I liked the theme. But yeah, if you like cat and mouse thrillers, but also sort of like slashers, you might have a good time with this. Maybe a better time than I did. It's another one of those horror movies that's been released lately that for some reason has an insanely high Rotten Tomatoes score. So I gotta say I find this one overrated, but still worth a watch. I'll still keep an eye on what Byrne does in the future for sure. Cheers, guys, and I'll see you at the multiplex.